My mother kicked me out at 16 to save for my step-siblings. 17 years later, she shows up demanding money after learning my six-figure salary. But what I did left them broken. I'm 33 years old. I work in upper management at a tech company, and I need to get this story off my chest because basically I haven't spoken to my mother in 17 years, and she just showed up in my life, demanding things like the last years never happened. The thing is, my mother had me when she was 20, and my biological father, well, that guy left before I was born, like I never met him or anything. So my mother raised me alone until I was like 8 years old, and honestly, I don't have many memories from that time. I mean, I know things were hard because she worked all the time and was barely home, but I can't say it was terrible, you know? It was what it was. When I was 8 years old, my mother met Raymond, and they got married pretty quickly. I think it was like 6 months after meeting or something like that. At first, Raymond was okay with me. He wasn't affectionate or anything, but he didn't treat me badly either. He was just there, and I thought, well, I guess now I have a stepfather. Things changed when I was like 12, and my mother got pregnant with twins, and that's when everything went to hell. Although at the time, I didn't see it coming. I remember when the twins were born, a boy and a girl. My mother was super excited, more excited than I'd ever seen her, and Raymond too. And I thought, okay, cool, I have little siblings. But looking back, I should have seen it coming because from that moment on, my mother started treating me differently, like I wasn't as important anymore. You know what I mean? The first few years after the twins were born were weird. My mother and Raymond were completely focused on them, which I understand. They were babies and all that, but it was like I had ceased to exist. Like, I'd come home from school and my mother wouldn't even ask me how it went. She was busy with the babies. If I needed something for school, like supplies or money for a field trip, Raymond would tell me to wait, that the twins needed diapers or formula or whatever, and I thought, well, they're small. I guess this is normal. But the truth is it hurt, although I didn't admit it even to myself. When I turned 16, one day I came home from school, and my mother and Raymond were sitting in the living room waiting for me. And I knew immediately that something bad was going to happen because they had those serious faces that adults make when they're going to tell you something you don't want to hear. My mother started with the speech that she loved me and all that, but that they needed to make a difficult decision, and Raymond interrupted her and basically told me, we have to think about our real kids, about the twins, and we need to save money for their future, for their education and all that. And I just stood there thinking, wait, are you telling me I have to leave? And my mother, with tears in her eyes but not really crying, told me yes, that it was best for everyone, that I was almost an adult and could manage on my own. I couldn't believe it. I literally couldn't process what was happening. I asked them if they were serious, if they were really kicking me out of the house, and Raymond told me, it's not kicking you out, it's that you need to be independent. And I yelled at him, independent? I'm 16 years old. Where am I supposed to go? My mother told me I could go to my grandparents, that they would take me in, and I thought, you already talked to them? You already planned all this without asking me? I tried to reason with them, told them I was still in high school, that it was less than 2 years until I graduated, but Raymond just kept repeating the same thing, that they needed to save for the twins, that I would understand when I was older. That night I stayed in my room unable to sleep, thinking, what did I do wrong? Why am I not enough for my own mother? The next day my mother gave me a backpack with some clothes and drove me to my grandparents' house, who lived like 45 minutes away. My grandparents, my mother's parents, were furious with her. Like my grandmother yelled at her, how can you do this to your son? And my mother just cried, saying she had no other choice, that she needed to think about her other children. My grandfather told her to leave, that I could stay with them as long as I needed. I remember my mother hugged me before leaving and told me I love you. And I didn't say anything. I just stood there with the backpack in my hand, watching her get in the car and drive away. Living with my grandparents was the best thing that could have happened to me, honestly. They treated me well, supported me, went to my school events, were interested in how I was doing. I got a part-time job at a supermarket to have my own money. I worked like 20 hours a week and studied, and I managed. My mother called me from time to time, but the conversations were awkward. She'd ask me how I was, and I'd say fine, and then there was silence, and she'd hang up. Like 6 months passed, and she stopped calling completely. When I graduated from high school, my grandparents went to the ceremony, but my mother didn't show up. It didn't surprise me, but it hurt anyway, you know? Seeing all my classmates with their complete families, and me just with my grandparents. I decided to go to college. I wanted to study business administration, but I didn't have money, obviously. My grandparents helped me with what they could, but I needed a student loan, and my uncle, my mother's brother, offered to co-sign because I was still a minor. He basically told me, "You're going to make it, I trust you," and signed the papers without thinking twice. College was tough, I'm not gonna lie. I worked full-time while studying, slept like 4 hours a night, lived on ramen and coffee, but I was determined to prove to the world, and especially to my mother, that I didn't need her. Every time I thought about giving up, I remembered Raymond's face telling me they needed to save for their real kids, and that gave me the energy to keep. I graduated with honors in 4 years, got a job at a tech company as a management assistant, and started climbing, basically. I worked like crazy, took on any extra project, learned everything I could, and in 5 years I was already a department manager. During all that time, I didn't talk to my mother once. She tried to contact me a couple of times, sent me text messages on my birthday or Christmas, but I completely ignored them. My grandparents told me maybe I should give her a chance, that she was my mother after all. But I told them no. She made her decision when she kicked me out of the house, and I made mine. My uncle visited me from time to time, asked me how my career was going, and I told him, but asked him not to tell my mother anything, and he promised he wouldn't. Like 3 months ago, right after turning 33, I got a huge promotion. Like they made me director of operations for the entire Eastern region, with a salary that's basically 6 times what I earned when I started. I was super excited. It was the result of 11 years of hard work, and I celebrated with my colleagues and my grandparents. What I didn't know was that my uncle, unintentionally, mentioned my promotion at a family gathering, and my mother was there. Apparently, she asked him all the details, where exactly I worked, how much I earned, everything. Like 2 weeks after my promotion, I was at home on a Saturday morning, like drinking coffee and watching TV, when the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there was my mother, with Raymond beside her. And I froze because I literally hadn't seen them in 17 years. My mother looked older, obviously. She was like 53 at that time, and Raymond had also aged, but what struck me most was the look on their faces. Like that I need something from you face. My mother started with the, "Hi, how have you been? I missed you so much." And I just told them, "What do you want?" Raymond got straight to the point, said the twins were going to college next year, and they needed help paying tuition, and that since I was making good money now, I could contribute. I laughed, like I literally laughed in their faces, and told them, "You're kidding, right?" My mother started with the speech that they were my family, that the twins were my siblings, that I had an obligation to help them. And I told her, "Obligation? Are you talking to me about obligations? You kicked me out of the house at 16 because you wanted to save for your real kids. Those were the exact words you used. And now you come here after 17 years expecting me to give you money." Raymond tried to justify himself, saying it was a difficult but necessary decision, and I yelled at him, "You left me homeless. I had to work and study at the same time while you spoiled the twins." My mother started crying, saying she did it for my own good, that she wanted me to learn to be independent, and I told her, "No, you did it because I'm the son of the guy who abandoned you, and the twins are the children of the man you love. Admit it." I told them to get out of my house and never come back, that I didn't owe them anything, absolutely nothing. Raymond got aggressive and told me I was selfish, that my mother raised me alone for 8 years, and I owed her that. And I answered him, "You know what? She decided to have me. Nobody forced her. And then she decided to get rid of me when she found a better option. So no, I don't owe her anything." I pushed them out of my house, literally, and closed the door. I could hear them yelling from outside, but eventually they left. I thought that would be the end, but no, of course not. My mother started sending me emails, like 3 or 4 a day, listing all the things she had done for me when I was a kid, like buying me clothes and food and taking me to the doctor. Basically, the things any mother is legally obligated to do. She told me I was ungrateful, that she had sacrificed so much for me, that she had given up her youth to raise me. And I thought, really? Are you playing the victim card now? I responded to only one email telling her to stop contacting me or I would take legal action, and she responded that she had the right to talk to her son. Like a month ago, I was in my office working when my assistant told me there was a woman at reception who said she was my mother and needed to see me urgently. I told my assistant to call security and have her removed from the building. My mother made a scene, like screaming that her son was rejecting her, that she had been a good mother, all that shit. Security had to physically escort her out of the building. That night I received like 15 voicemails from her, each one more desperate than the last, telling me the twins couldn't go to college without my help, that Raymond had lost his job, you don't know if it's true or not, that they were about to lose their house. Last week things got really ugly. I was coming home from work, it was like 8 at night, and my mother was waiting for me in the parking lot. When she saw me, she started walking toward me, yelling that she needed to talk to me, and I told her to leave or I'd call the police. She kept approaching, and when I tried to get into my house, she grabbed my arm and started pulling me, telling me I couldn't ignore her, that I was her son. I tried to break free and she literally scratched my face, left me a mark like 5 centimeters on my cheek. At that moment, I took out my phone and called the police, while she kept screaming. The police arrived in like 10 minutes, and by that time my mother was sitting on the ground crying, telling the officers that her son had abandoned her, that she just wanted help educating her other children. I showed them the emails, the voicemails, told them she had shown up at my work, and showed them the scratch on my face. The officers told her she had to leave and couldn't contact me again. She yelled at them that I was her son, that she had the right to see me, but they explained that I was an adult and had the right not to have contact with her if I decided so. The next day I went to the police station and pressed assault charges and requested a restraining order. My lawyer helped me with all the paperwork, and basically the order says my mother can't come within 200 meters of me, my house, or my work. When they served her the order, according to what my uncle told me, she had a complete breakdown, like screaming that I had betrayed her, that after everything she had done for me, I treated her like a criminal. The interesting thing, and when I say interesting, I mean ironic, is that apparently Raymond left the house with the twins and they went to live with his parents after all this. According to my uncle, Raymond told my mother he was sick of her obsession with me, that she needed to accept I wasn't going to help them and move on. The twins, who are now like 21, don't want anything to do with the drama. Basically, they told my mother they'd manage on their own, that they'd look for scholarships or student loans, like all normal people do. My grandparents also distanced themselves from my mother after they found out she had physically attacked me. My grandmother told her she had crossed a line and couldn't support her in this. Now my mother is basically alone in that house, working at whatever she works at. Honestly, I don't know and don't care. Probably facing financial problems if Raymond really lost his job, and obsessed with the idea that I owe her something. My uncle told me she tells anyone who will listen that her successful son abandoned her after she sacrificed everything for him, conveniently omitting the part where she kicked me out at 16. People who know the full story, like my grandparents and my uncle, tell her she brought this on herself, but she can't or won't see it. The truth is, I don't feel guilty, not at all. There are people who tell me I should forgive her because she's my mother, that life is short and all that, but I think, why? Why should I forgive someone who made it clear I wasn't as important as her other children? She made a decision when she kicked me out of the house. She decided the twins were more valuable than me, and now she has to live with the consequences of that decision. I built my life without her, worked my ass off for years to get where I am, and I don't owe her any of my success. Sometimes I think about how things would be if she had never kicked me out, if she had found another way to handle the financial situation. But then I think, I probably wouldn't be where I am now if things had been different. Having to be independent at 16 taught me to work hard, not to depend on anyone, to fight for what I want. In a way, her rejection made me stronger, although that doesn't mean what she did was right or that I'm grateful to her for it. What bothers me most, I guess, is that she really believes she has a right to my money now. Like the fact that she gave birth to me gives her some kind of automatic pass to my bank account. She doesn't understand, or doesn't want to understand, that family relationships are built with love and constant support, not just biology. The twins are her children as much as I am, but she decided to prioritize their future over mine when we were all minors. And now that they need financial help, she suddenly remembers there's another son who can pay the bills. The restraining order is in effect for a year, and my lawyer told me that if she violates it even once, she can face criminal charges. Part of me hopes she does, that she shows up at my house or work again, just so she learns she can't manipulate me or harass me without consequences. But another part of me just wants her to disappear completely from my life, to accept that I'm not going to be the twins' personal bank and move on. My grandparents asked me recently if I would ever forgive my mother, and I honestly told them I don't know. I don't feel that impulse for reconciliation that some people feel with their parents. I don't have that emotional void that needs to be filled. She was my mother biologically, yes, but she stopped being my mother in any real sense when she put me out on the street. Mothers don't do that. Mothers don't tell you you're worth less than your siblings. Mothers don't show up 17 years later expecting you to pay for the children they prioritized over you. My uncle told me. My mother said to him that if she had known I was going to end up being so successful, she would never have let me go. And that, more than anything else she's said or done, confirms I did the right thing, cutting her out of my life. She's not sorry for hurting me. She's sorry for losing access to my money. She doesn't miss me as a person. She misses me as a financial resource. And that's all I need to know to keep her out of my life permanently. The last time I talked to my grandparents, my grandmother told me my mother was seeing a therapist, trying to process why her children had abandoned her. And I thought, really? Your children abandoned you? I left because you kicked me out, and Raymond left because you became obsessive and toxic. But I guess it's easier to paint yourself as the victim than accept that your actions have consequences. I don't know if the therapist is telling her what she wants to hear or if they're actually trying to make her see reality. But honestly, I don't care. Her mental health isn't my responsibility, especially after she attacked mine for so long. Fast forward to last week, one of my colleagues asked me why I never talk about my family, and I told him a very summarized version of the story. He told me it sounded like something out of a movie, and I said, yeah, except it's my real life. He asked me if it bothered me not to have a relationship with my mother, and I told him no, that what bothered me was when she decided I wasn't worth it. Now I'm simply living with the consequences of her decision, just like she is. Work keeps me busy, which is fine. I have good friends, a solid career, a comfortable life. I don't need the drama of a mother who only looks for me when she needs something. The twins can get student loans like I did. They can work while studying like I did. They can learn to be independent like I had to. It's not my problem that my mother and Raymond didn't save for their education, especially considering that was literally the reason they gave me for kicking me out. Sometimes I wonder if the twins know the full story. If my mother told them she kicked me out so she could save for them, or if she just told them I decided to leave. I don't blame them. They were kids when all this happened, but I also don't feel any connection to them. They're my mother's children with Raymond, and that's all. They're not really my siblings in any meaningful sense. I grew up separate from them, built my life without them, and I have no interest in getting to know them now. The restraining order expires in, 8 months, and my lawyer already asked me if I want to renew it. I told him probably yes, because I don't trust that my mother has learned anything from all this. She still believes she's right, that I owe her something, and as long as she thinks that way, she's a threat to my peace of mind. Maybe in a few years, if she really changes, if she really understands what she did wrong and apologizes sincerely without expecting anything in return, maybe then I'd consider having some kind of limited contact. But honestly, I don't see that happening. For now, I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. I have the life I built for myself, without anyone's help, and that's something I'm proud of. My mother can stay in her empty house, thinking about how things could have been different if she had made other decisions. And I'll keep moving forward with my life without looking back. Some people say holding a grudge is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die, but I don't see this as holding a grudge. I see it as establishing healthy boundaries and protecting myself from someone who proved they don't care about me. Yesterday, my grandfather called to tell me he was proud of me, not just for my professional success, but for how I've handled this whole situation. He told me many people in my position would have given in to family pressure, would have paid for the twins just to keep the peace, but that I stood firm in my principles. And he's right. It would have been easier to simply give them the money and end the drama, but that would have sent the message that their behavior was okay, that they can treat me like garbage and still expect my help when it's convenient for them. I'm not willing to do that.